Meet the team. He is a dedicated artisan and pacifist, basing his trade and skills in non-violent training. She is a warrior, carving her way across the world through combat and grace. Together, without being able to trade with or get assistance from any other players, they must attain the rarest skill cape in the game, an untrimmed Slayer cape. The catch? He is forever forbidden from training combat skills, while those combat skills are the only skills that she can train. In this restricted world, is it possible to achieve their goal? Let's find out together. This is Two Noobs, One Cape. Welcome in, everybody. Our two noobs have made it to Lumbridge. This is our team. This is everything. These two fresh accounts. I've dropped everything from Tutorial Island on both of them. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. We have so much to do and so far to go. But before we get started, we need to establish the rules of the game. These two can't just pull any old trick out of the bag to get their mission done. No, they're going to operate under a very specific set of restrictions. He is known as a skiller, meaning that he is forever restricted from training the combat skills, those being the three melee-based skills, hit points, magic, ranged, and prayer. For this series, I'm also adding the Slayer skill into that mix as well. This means that he will forever be 10 hit points, forever be 3 combat, forever find his XP gains in mining, woodcutting, hunting, and all other such skills. She is the exact opposite, an 807, also known as a combat pure. She can only train those skills which he can't, including Slayer. It goes without saying that the eventual untrimmed Slayer cape will be hers. It may not be obvious, but these restrictions mean that there is a ton of content from which this team will forever be barred. But interestingly, there's also a lot of stuff that they'll be able to do together as their grind progresses, specifically by combining their separate skills into achieving accomplishments. Which brings us to the king daddy of their future accomplishments, and what makes it so challenging. If you've played this game since you were a kid, you'll know all about trimmed skill capes. When you achieve level 99 in a skill master will sell you a skill cape you wear to flaunt your admirable inability to touch grass. If it's your first 99, the trim on the cape will be the same base color as the rest of the cape. However, once you achieve 99 in a second skill, all of your skill capes will trim and be permanently trimmed, indicating your multi-99-ness. Back in the day, trimmed capes were the mark of prestige. These days, using the untrimmed skill cape to indicate which 99 was your first is a new way to flex your commitment to number goes up. Though I haven't found a way to confirm this, I'd wager hefty amounts of GP that the untrimmed Slayer cape is the rarest skill cape in the game. The reason for this is that to achieve it, you almost certainly need to be trying very deliberately and carefully to acquire it. You train Slayer by receiving assignments from Slayer Masters. Basically, kill X number of thing A and then come back to me when you're done. The amount of Slayer experience you receive is generally equal to the number of hit points of the monster that you slayed. However, in order to kill a monster, you obviously have to damage it, generally through the combat skills. And whenever you cause damage to a monster using one of these skills, you gain experience in that skill equal to the amount of damage you hit times 4. You also gain hit points experience equal to the amount of damage you hit times 1 1/3. That means your training attack, you hit 3, you get 12 attack experience, 4 hit points experience, you get it. This means that if you train Slayer solely through hitting monsters with your combat skills, by the time you reach 99 Slayer at roughly 13 million experience, you will have incurred a minimum of 52 million experience in damaging skills, and over 17 million experience in hit points. You can spread out the 52 million across the 5 damaging skills so that none of them reach 99, but there's no way around 99 hit points. And this is all assuming that you do absolutely zero combat outside of Slayer. Now, there are some tricks that people can use to get around some of these restrictions. The most obvious one is using a dwarf cannon, unlocked by the quest of the same name. A ranged weapon which, using cannonballs, grants ranged experience, but no hit points experience, which allows you to dodge 99 hit points. Another is by summoning thralls via the Arceus spellbook, where for some magic experience, your temporary familiar will ding down your opponent for you, again sans hit points experience. The magic spell Vengeance from the Lunar spellbook will reflect back 75% of damage to an NPC for the next hit, usable once every 30 seconds. And the temple trekking minigame, famously used by Settled, occasionally grants Slayer experience tomes, which can be gained by only traversing non-combat paths. In all of these methods, even though you're gaining experience in a combat skill, you aren't accumulating hit points experience. So as long as you balance it properly, it's straightforward to switch between these methods and normal Slayer all the way to 99. So why is it going to be so difficult for our two noobs? I'm glad I asked you to ask this question. While the Dwarf Cannon quest itself has no requirements, there's an account-ruining reward that comes from the quest completion aside from the Dwarf Cannon: 750 crafting experience. This would gain our Slayer 7 crafting levels, which is not allowed. Nor is the cannon tradable, which would let the skiller pass it to the slayer. In the case of thralls, resurrection spells in the Arceus spellbook require the completion of a Kingdom Divided, which, you guessed it, requires skilling levels. And for vengeance, the spell is locked behind the quest Lunar Diploma. You get it, right? Basically, because of my restrictions, the easiest methods to poke and prod my way to 99 Slayer, all sneaky-like, are forever locked behind quests I can't do, and there's no quick and cheap way for me to cheese my way to 99 Slayer while avoiding hit points experience. Having said that, and as many of you already know, there are some careful paths that I can take to achieve the same results with similar but different activities. It's just going to take a long time. Like, a long time. Like, a really, really long time. But it's not always about the time. The real skill cape was the friends we made along the way. I think that's how that goes. So, for this Snowflake build, my restrictions are: the skiller can only gain non-combat levels, except for Slayer, and the Slayer can only gain combat levels and Slayer. The Slayer cannot skip any Slayer tasks. If I get Fire Giants, I'm doing it. If I get Aviances, I'm doing it. If I get Hans in Lumbridge, I'm doing it. The Slayer can, however, block tasks, but only after completing the task at least once since the task class became available. This means that if a task is blocked and I unblock it, before being able to ever block that task again, I have to do it once. This is to prevent me from, at higher levels of Slayer points, using blocking and unblocking as a substitution for skips. These are the restrictions under which I'll be playing these two accounts. My exceptions? None.
Asterisk, because there's one glaring endgame problem with the plan that a lot of you will have figured out, but we're going to ignore that for a while, okay?
We're going to get into my master plan in a little while. But before we do, these two noobs have a stronghold to secure. Actually, I lied. We're going to do a couple of things first. We're going to grab 5 thieving real quick. Yeah, I got to redo a couple settings really quick so that we don't accidentally... We got to get into our actual restrictions here. So NPC attack options on both of them are always going to be right click. We don't ever want to be gaining any unnecessary combat experience. And then we can get on to the pickpocketing on our skiller account right here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and... All right, joke was on me. I hadn't set up membership for these accounts yet. We got that squared away. So what I've done now is set left click to pickpocket, and I'm just going to go and grab 5 thieving real quick. You know, I don't have any food on me, so if this guy does punch me down to death, this might be one of my 2 hardcore lives gone. And there it is. That's 2 thieving, the first level on our combined accounts. You know, the success rate on this has been really high, actually. I'm kind of astounded. I didn't check the stats, but of course, as soon as I say that, I'm down to 3 health, and situation's getting a little unhealthy. Over here, she's just watching this like, are you okay? I can't do anything yet. Well, actually, I wouldn't do anything yet anyway, because you're the one that cooks. That's level 5 thieving. You know what I said about the high success rate didn't hold at all, but it's alright. It didn't take that long, and this is a nice easy level for us to get. And I forgot to do the noob dance earlier, so we're going to get that going on right now. Oh, look at them. These 2 noobs. They're going to go so far together. We're running over to Draenor really quick before we head over to the Stronghold to get some basic food with all the cash that we just picked up. Fortunato, come hither. Allow me to imbibe. While here, I'm also going to buy a Chronicle. How much are these again? Oh, just kidding. I'm not going to buy a Chronicle. Now we both have full inventories of that. We're going to head up to Varrock, or the Barbarian Village to be exact, and head down into the Stronghold of Security to get our starter cash. No idea if we're prepared for this, but here we go. And 1, and 2, and 3. Giles, my boy. Oh, wait, come back here, Giles. Come back here. We need to have words. That is definitely not a pair of shears or a fish. Oh, that's actually really good. Oh, if it's not apparent why, it will be soon, but that's really good. I gotta pick that up. And now I gotta really not die. You know, the funny thing about this whole thing was that the skiller took no damage the whole time. Needed to drop a couple jugs of wine because of a random, the money, and finally this reward at the end. We're gonna take the fighter boots for our fighter. We're gonna take the fancy boots for our skiller. The first step on the journey, and it's done together. And that is the Strongholds of Security completed. So now it's gonna be time to go our separate ways. While he is gonna head back to Lumbridge and get started on Rune Mysteries, she is gonna start prepping for her first task, even though we've got a couple of things that we gotta take care of first. And those things are going to help start us on the road to the master plan. If I'm going to get 99 Slayer before mastering any other skills, I'm going to need to focus on earning as little hit points experience as possible. If I killed monsters normally, I would gain a minimum of 3 Slayer experience for every 4 hit points experience. Flip these numbers around to figure out my allowances, and we'll see that for every 4 damage I do, I can only do 3 of this through normal combat. Keeping in mind that monsters are going to be regenerating hit points even while in combat with me, this number is realistically closer to 5. And to be extra safe, I'm going to bump it up to 6. This means I have to do half of all damage through indirect means in order to reach 99 Slayer before 99 hit points. Now, in the early game, I'm going to have 2 best friends, Poison and Recoil damage. Rings of Recoil, which are enchanted sapphire rings, reflect a small portion of the damage you take back onto its inflictor. It's not a lot, but every little bit of combat experience that I can avoid will help me in the end. Equally, if not more important, is going to be Poison. Poisoned weapons have a chance to inflict a poison effect that deals damage over time. And, importantly, that damage dealt over time does not give combat experience. Acquiring the Rings of Recoil is only so hard as acquiring the raw materials to make them, because the requirements to do so are well within my capabilities in the early game. But Poison is a different story. The potion that makes weapons poisonous isn't unlocked until 60 herb lore, which is a long way off in the skiller's future. And even if I had the potion, I'd still need a weapon to poison. If Poison's going to be my ally in this quest, I'm going to need some early game help. I'm not too worried. The noobs are resourceful. The very simple goals for this episode are to complete a Slayer task and craft our first Ring of Recoil. And we're going to need both of our new best friends to get this done.
Over here in Varrock, I'm going to talk to Zaf quick, and I'm going to pick up a staff. I'm picking up a staff as opposed to an elemental staff because this is significantly cheaper. And I'm not going to be training a whole lot of magic in the early game, just a little bit.
Big moment on the accounts. It's time to get our first Slayer assignment from Terrail. And I'm a little nervous on what this could be. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't be that nervous because either way, it's not gonna hurt us. It's about starting off the account on the right foot. So let's see what we're gonna get. Rats. Rats is okay. It's not the best, but I think it'll be serviceable for what we're gonna do. So yeah, I'll take rats. Okay, I've got my rat plan. I'm gonna head back to Lumbridge really quick to pick up a little quick prayer experience, and then we're gonna do some real prep. And to do that prep, we're gonna have to go into the wilderness. It's time to start the Restless Ghost quest. Oh, didn't even see that I was getting slapped by this mugger. I guess I'm gonna have to deal with that a lot because I'm never gaining any hit points on this account. So, streets aren't safe. King Roll, you gotta fix this. Streets aren't safe. You know, something that just occurred to me is that it totally slipped my mind how I'm gonna acquire a mind talisman, because that's kind of integral to my plan. Huh. First things first, we gotta finish these quests on both our accounts here. And that's Rune Mysteries completed, and we can get a head start on our rune crafting grind, or short rune crafting grind, in order to prep our early level magic on the Slayer account. Something that kind of amuses me about early level rune crafting is if you do it right away, you're actually gaining appreciable mining experience. Like it's a genuine training method as long as you're doing the other skills at the same time. And that's not something you're going to say for very long. But for now, we're going to be raking in some mining levels. The first of which is right here. That is level 2 mining. And that's Restless Ghost completed. It's going to jumpstart what we're going to do next, very nicely, coming in with a handy 9 prayer. And our first combat level as well. That's good. We don't care about combat levels. We're not PKing. We're not doing any of that. We're not worried about PKers either. So combat levels are irrelevant. And prayer experience, we're not approaching that with the same conservative nature that we're dealing with our other combat levels, because prayer we can train, we can not train, we can turn that on and off anytime we want. And so that's not a concern. You know, now I can afford that Chronicle. That's going to be handy. I'm going to go pick that up. Did not know that teleport cards were that expensive, but it's fine. We got money. Oh, actually, I shouldn't have done that, but we got enough. I could have just bypassed these air runes and gotten a staff of air, but I thought that was too expensive. Like I've said, we're not going to be doing magic that much. This is just to get us on the start so that we'll be able to do what we need to do in the early game. And that's 2 rune crafting, and that's our first set of air runes. Now our first venture into the wilderness, certainly not our last. Not the best place in the world to have 10 HP and no food. This mugger almost got me again. All the way down to 4 because I wasn't paying attention.
I'm gonna stop off in Ferox really quick to regen my run energy. It suddenly occurs to me this would be a lot safer if I did this on a free-to-play world. Or actually, it's probably a lot more dangerous if I do it on a free-to-play world, because then there'll actually be PKers out that will be able to kill me at level 4. Am I? Yeah, and this is only gonna go up the longer I'm at the Chaos Altar, and the Chaos Altar is not free to play. So, yeah, I better stick on the members world and just avoid anything that's out here. I'm tempted to pick this Iron Scimitar up. I'm not gonna use it for reasons that will become apparent in a bit. Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore it. All right, I'm just gonna start picking up big bones. Big bones. Big bones. In fact, I'm not even gonna run. I don't even know what the respawn time is on these things. Gosh, I'm getting slapped by this skeleton. Painful. Stay away from. Oh, yep. Oh. Here goes a hardcore life.
5 mining from rune essence only.
It might just be easier for me to world hop this, honestly. If I can stand to do it all the way to 43 like my goal is. Oh, and then you get slippity slap eyes. Oh, Well, that's a hardcore life.
Alright, I finally got a full inventory of big bones. And now we're gonna head over to the Chaos Altar and see how many prayer levels we can gain off of a single inventory.
Alright, that was outstanding. I mean, at that rate, I'm still gonna have to do this 12 more times to get to 43. That is, in and of itself, just got me up to, rock skin. It got me up to rapid restore. So that in and of itself will help me over at the boneyard when I'm trying to pick these things up.
Meanwhile, I've started bringing down all the rune essence that I mined. I finished that up, and I'm starting to complete that crafting grind to get the 10 rune crafting for Temple of the Eye. Here should be 4. Actually 5. So that's moving along pretty quick. I should be done with that pretty quick. And then I'll be able to move on to Temple of the Eye so I can grab some mind runes. And this inventory is going to get me 10 rune crafting, which is going to end the manual rune crafting grind for now. I have now to go to Varrock to do the Enter the Abyss mini quest, which is the last requirement for Temple of the Eye. I was so focused on picking up big bones in the wilderness that I forgot to record it, so we're started.
I like how we're just casually revealing the most closely guarded secret and
All of magic to mages of the evil god.
I tell you, I'm getting pretty sick of this. It's not the act of like
Picking up the bones.
it's not the act of using the bones on the altar. That's all good. These skeletons just hit, bro, and they don't let up. And every time I hop in worlds, they're just on me right away. I had really bad luck that gathering period. Uh-oh. And that's the first PvP death, and with that, actually, there goes the hardcore status. Just like that. And then the dude just turned around and started using bones on himself. I don't know if he was just protecting himself, if he thought I was a scout, or if that was just how the cookie crumbled. I didn't expect it to last long. I expected it to last longer than that.
On my way to Ardoin for the Enter the Abyss mini quest, I decided to stop off at the Dwarf Mine and pick up a steel pickaxe. That's just going to help us along a little bit faster in Temple of the Eye. I wonder what the lore is behind there being scorpions down here in this mine. Underground in a major metropolitan area in Gielinor, in Esgaria, there just happens to be this giant infestation of massive scorpions. I don't know. The dwarves don't seem to mind anyway. And while in Ardoin, I am going to finish up the scrying orb step first, but then I'm going to take a little side detour and tackle a little bit of thieving while I'm here. So like so many others, my method of getting thieving up from 5 to 15 is going to be stealing from the cake stall in Ardoin. I'm going to pick up a good amount of cakes, a good amount of bread here, and that should set us up pretty well for the early Slayer grind and any other scaling that I'm going to have to do that might cost me hit points. So this is going to be 15 thieving. For better or worse, I'm planning to go to 32 by pickpocketing ham followers for easy clues. It's really nice actually getting some consistent experience, though. It's way more fun than picking up bones, I'll tell you that much. And there is Enter the Abyss complete. We're now ready to head on to Temple of the Eye.
Hello, wizard person. I'm here to start a quest. Yeah, that's my question. What is a wizard doing in Alcreda? Strange place for magic to go. Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. We revealed all of the secrets of the Order of the Wizards to the arch enemies.
And that's going to be Temple of the Eye complete.
And there's also 28 rune crafting, as well as I got a couple of crafting levels in there as well, up to 3 crafting.
So with Temple of the Eye complete, I'm going to run a few games of Guardians of the Rift, see if I can grab some mind runes. I'll speed it up. Let's see how we do. Alright, I got rather unlucky on that game.
I'll probably have to play another one to get those mind runes. So we'll go again. Not that big a deal.
Give me the mind runes! Mind runes! Duh!
So overall, those were 2 pretty unlucky games, but we got the job done. And off of those 2 games, we got a grand total of 2 pulls. I'm gonna do those 2 pulls and see what I get. Actually, that's a pretty good drop. Those laws are pretty nice. I can use those laws for stuff, specifically teletabs.
I'm gonna have to work out how the percentages will work between
The experience that I sacrificed for making the teletabs and what I hold in reserve for actual combat, but that's pretty nice. We can now move on. And moving on looks like this. So we're in pursuit of thieving now. We're in pursuit of 32 thieving, and you probably already know why, but my chosen route to get there from 15 is to go after ham members. I'm doing that because of easy clues, and I'm going to be doing every single easy clue that I get, which combined with my success rate means that I'm going to be here for a very long time, and I'm just hoping that it evens out with a unique here or there. It took so long, I was almost training thieving by that method alone. All right, so in the ham hideout, so we got ham members. What I'm going to do is pickpocket these and most likely fail a lot. Oh, and I have to wait because the trapdoor actually dinged me for 1 minus. My god, that was the longest stat restore of my life, but we're here. So, anyway, when I go to pickpocket these, I'm probably going to fail a lot, starting like so. And eventually, hopefully I'm going to succeed and get an easy clue. Man, I went all the way to the dwarf mine for that, and here it is right out of the pocket. And I got bundled out. Well, that's bound to happen. And actually, eventually it's going to help us. Except for that mugger. These guys just don't let up. Meanwhile, on Bones, I died again. I don't even know how. It says it's in a gravestone. How long do I have for it? Oh, it was only 20 seconds ago. Anyway, I finally got back in and I got a stat restore anyway. So let's try to go back and find those bones that I just dropped. What on earth killed me out there? Hobgoblins? Ham stuff. Money. I want to get the level just by picking this lock. We're gonna get a new level by trying to pick the door. Alright, there we go. And I didn't get a stat drain, so that should help. Ooh. Yeah. Oh. What do you look like? Pants, blouse, long hair, blonde, all blue. Who's in the cage? In the cage, we got... There you go. Must have been a hobgoblin. I came way too far south on my route, and that's why. Alright, that's fine. At least it wasn't a player death, so I don't have to pick up all these bones again. I just had to run back to retrieve them. Raw chicken. Sir, what were you doing with a raw chicken in your pocket? That seems like... You don't even wash your hands, do you? Look at this. Dirt everywhere. Aha! There's what I'm looking for. Okay, so here's the plan now. I'm gonna drop the clue scroll outside. As of about 3 days ago, these things now stay on the floor for an hour. Then I'm gonna build up a nice stack of clue scrolls all over the floor here until I get to a high enough level of thieving that I can either take a break and go do the clue scrolls, or I'm done and I'll do all the clue scrolls. Clue scroll number 2. Ooh, and a steel axe to fill up my inventory. That is 36 prayer. I'm gonna keep going here, but 36 prayer means that I am halfway to 43, which is my stopping point. All this and I'm only halfway, but we're gonna keep going.
Died again to a skeleton.
Lol.
20 thieving.
We're getting there.
We just got our first count check on the account.
I do give my lamp. So the question would be what I want to put it on right now. And honestly, I think the answer is I'm going to hold on to it. It is going to take up an inventory space. Now the inventory space isn't super valuable to me. It will be if we start to stack these up, but for now I'm just going to hold on to it and wait and see what we might want to do with it in the future. Just got PK'd for big bones near Chinchompas. He thought he was getting black chins, but he got big bones. But on the bright side, I just got a gold bar. Do your randoms, kids. Snowflakes, do your randoms. I died to a skeleton on the way back to the graveyard. I stopped moving at the same time again. That skeleton death must be 3. You know, I actually did think that the hardcore would stick around for a while. Like, not like forever, but like a couple of episodes until I actually got into the slaying.
And there it is. 32 thieving, which means we can now pickpocket rogues. And this is it as well. 43 prayer.
And that is just phenomenal to see.
Considering what our first task is and how we're going to do it.
This was just essential, and I'm just really glad to have this out of the way.
We don't have to worry about training it up. We don't have to worry about doing it conventional ways. We had the time, we had the means, we did it, it's done. I'm going to treat the Slayer to a nice old-fashioned journey home to Lumbridge, where they can just chill
until they're called upon. You did good. We'll see you in a bit. Meanwhile, I'm going to be tackling these clues. I didn't even see this.
Quizmaster.
Well, don't mind if I do. You already know. It's going to be mystery box. It's going to be that stale baguette. First try. Oh. I ended up getting 12 clue scrolls. It says 13.
That's because I did get a dupe
while I was holding one. What I'm going to start doing is just grab one,
probably walk around, take forever,
get it to completion, and then stack up caskets. Wait till we got all 12 and see what we get.
1 casket, 2 casket, red casket, blue casket. Side note, waiting for my Lumbridge teleport to bring me back to my clue scrolls. I just got wood cutting level 2, and we might get a couple more before the clue scroll grind is out. So while I was over here doing clues, I decided to stop off and get 10 agility at the Stronghold. I got to pick up a couple items for clue anyway, so might as well get that done while I'm here. And there's 10 agility. Just got another count check. I'm just going to use them up. I can't figure out what to use them. I'd probably use them in Herblore, but I'm not going to hold them any longer. That should be a new level as well. And so it is. 11 agility. I've got this clue, and I went to all the trouble to get the items, only to lose sight of the fact that you require 5 defense to wear steel. So in the end, I was only able to get 7 caskets. I had to drop the one that we saw earlier, and then 4 of them I can't do because I can't get the items for them yet. I'm not going to worry about it. You can see here I've pulled them back to Lumbridge. I'm just going to leave them here in a pile, and if they despawn, it's not that big a deal because I can't do that anyway, and I'm not going to stress too much about it. But what we do have is the 7 caskets, and I'm going to open those up really quick before we get on to our other things. That's 1. Ooh, that's a good one already. And 2 uniques off the bat. 3 uniques out of 4 drops. I've never had this much luck on easy clues before. Oh my god. It just keeps happening. And last. I'm kind of floored by the number of uniques I got from that. We're in good shape. Now, once again, it's time to dive into the wilderness. because the wilderness holds the key to our first best friend in the early game. I got 32 thieving for a very specific reason. In the deepest part of the most dangerous area in the world, the skiller can now venture into the rogue's castle and pickpocket its inhabitants. There are very few ways to get a poisoned weapon in the early game. There's a chance to get weapon poison from Observatory Quest, which we're also going to attempt, but rogues offer a much better probability. There is a 1 in 128 chance that you pickpocket from rogues a poisoned iron dagger. All I need to upgrade to my best in slot weapon for the foreseeable future is to have a little bit of patience, a little bit of courage, and a little bit of luck. This isn't a revolutionary idea. Many a Snowflake account have acquired this dagger to bypass early combat experience. The difference with our two noobs is that I won't be stopping after the early game. To me, this iron dagger is worth its weight in rune. If Observatory Quest gives us a weapon poison as well, we'll be able to hold it until we get a rune dagger from Hard Clues, and therefore bypass the 60 Herbal requirement. But getting that drop is far from guaranteed. In the meantime, our bold skiller must embark into the deep wilderness to gift his slayer the best weapon we will have for a very long time.
This is the fun part of getting there. It's just roulette. But we're kind of getting closer. We've already been here. Alright, whatever. I don't really get it, but alright. Hey, that's the one I want. Cool. Now, what we do have to worry about up here is Chaos Ellie. Where you at, my boy? There you are. Holy cow. Because he can slap you through that iron grill at the front of the castle, and we don't want that. Can't remember if there are rogues on the second level. There are not. Ooh, but there is gold. Ooh, there is one. Ooh. We're going after a 1 in 128 here. I've tested this method on 2 different accounts, and both accounts had significantly higher HP. One got it pretty reasonably early, about I think 40 pickpockets, so that's basically a spoon, and the other one went 3 times dry. So we could really go anywhere. If you'll notice actually, because I did check this, when Settle did this method early on Swampolytics, he was still at 32 when he went to take on the Temple Guardian Priest of Peril. So he got spooned. We do get jugs of wine, I forgot about that. That'll help actually. First lockpick, second lockpick. That's actually not bad money, to be honest with you. The way that I kind of ate through my Stronghold security money to get through those clues. I just missed it, but there's 33. I thieved right through it, but that was 33 thieving. So we are officially drier than settled. But for real, we're in a castle in the most desolate, dangerous part of the world. We're upstairs in the castle in a closed room. It's basically this guy's like house, and I'm just sat in here repeatedly picking his pocket, and he's bashing me over the head, but he's not just like stabbing me in the back when he has actually every right to. Still on this account. But I just got it. Okay, County, hang on. That right there is gonna be my best in slot weapon on the Slayer for a very long time, and we just got it. We're ready to set off towards 99 Slayer. I actually can't die on the way out of here though. Dying would be bad because the lockpicks will get kept over this, so I have to make sure that I safely get back to Ferox with this. That was on the 99th rogue too. That's it. We're safe, we're in Ferox. We've got the dagger. We're about to deposit it in group storage. Something so small could bring me so much joy, it's kind of crazy. The iron dagger is in the hands of the Slayer, and now it's actually in the hand of the Slayer. Oh, look at it, isn't it beautiful? That's everything we need. Just before we head in for our task, I'm going to collect some monk's robes from the monastery, which I can do courtesy of my 43 prayer. You need 31 to get in here. Grab a couple robes. I'm gonna grab a couple copy just in case, you know, in case I die a lot, which is known to happen. Feels like just yesterday that we were headed into the Stronghold of Security to get our first account money, because it was. And now we're headed straight back down so we can get to where we're gonna take on our first task of rats.
We're doing this in the Stronghold of Security because it is home to some level 26 rats, which have 25 hit points. This is good for me because more hit points means more Slayer experience, but it also means more damage that I can let poison do instead of my weapon. There's no good way in-game for me to tell if my hits have successfully landed poison, so I wrote a plugin specifically to keep track of damage that I do with a poisonous weapon, how much poison damage there is left to be applied, and when I can expect those poison splats to hit.
So here's how we're going to be going about doing this. We're going to be running in with Protect from Melee on. We're going to run over here, and we're going to take on one of these rats. Oh, it's a single combat. Oh, I don't got to worry about very much. Okay, that's cool. God willing, eventually I will hit. Like so. And then ideally, at some point, that will poison. Prayer points are actually disappearing very fast. This one might take a while, but you know what? That's okay. That's the whole point of the account. This might be a short trip. Okay, I got the poison on. Good. Now what we're gonna do is turn the spell on, and we're gonna wind strike it while we're in combat with it. I got 5 hit points left, so I'm gonna have to look careful here. But point being is that the poison is doing most of the damage, and we're also inching up our combat to level 7. And that is our first Slayer kill, our first Slayer experience on the account. And in true style, I need to go recharge my prayer. Already. And that, at long last, is Slayer level 2. I did get an attack level on that kill, so attack experience is still slightly ahead of Slayer. You know, as we discussed, that's okay, because attack can level faster than Slayer. It's just about hit points. Haven't really examined hit points experience in that deep effect yet, because I'm also doing some magic to get that up to 7. But that's our first Slayer level. Casually grabbed 15 wood cutting while I'm waiting, because there's a lot of downtime waiting for the Slayer to take out the rats. I started prayer flicking my kills, which was an absolute necessity to prolong trips. I still only got 5 that trip, or maybe 4 that trip. But it'll get longer. I'm also out of practice, but I'll get better. That right there is 7 magic. What that means is that I can now enchant sapphire jewelry, which was the entire point of this. So we're going to lay off the magic now. We're going to continue just attacking. That is going to get us 3 Slayer, which is now ahead of our attack and should remain that way for the immediate future. Now I'm just cheating. I went through, stabbed this boy until he got poisoned, which took 1 hit, and now I'm just chilling on the other side of the door until he dies. I'm shameless. Here's a fun fact about poison that most people might not know, or maybe you do know. If you poison an NPC and then leave combat with them, they immediately become unpoisoned. But because this rat is still technically interacting with me, you know, if I move it, it comes closer to me. That means that it's still technically, from its point of view, interacting with me and therefore still poisoned. So I can just sit on the opposite side of this door and chill, and that poison will stay intact. If I were to leave the range, however, it would immediately become unpoisoned. But as long as I just sit here, I can just let it tick down just fine and have some safe Slayer XP. So it is now time for the observatory quest. Now for this, I'm going to need a source of anti-poison just in case I get pinged by the chests, which are underground during this quest. I'm not too worried about it, but I am going to pick up a lot of super anti-poison right here really quick. And we're going to go see if we can get a weapon poison. Here we are starting observatory quest on the skiller. Aha! Good, we didn't have to run all the way around. Alright, this is the part of the quest that we care about. We have a 1 in 12 chance, depending on what we see through this telescope, of getting a weapon poison. And so we also have to be careful because some of the rewards that we have here could reward us combat experience, and if that's the case, then we cannot complete the quest. What we want to see is Scorpio. And that is not Scorpio. It is Sagittarius, which is a maple longbow and an uncut sapphire as a reward. Not the worst, not the best. We can take that. If I'm wrong about this, then we've had to reset our account, but it looks like that's not the case.
So we are done. We didn't get the weapon poison. That would have saved us a lot of time, because we could have acquired rune dagger and poisoned instead. Instead, we'll be sticking with iron for now, but you know, it's okay. It's time to start murder mystery. Wait, so what happened? What happened to Anna? Did she go to jail? Did she get executed? Did she go on to live happily ever after? What happened? Is there a sequel? Oh, who cares? I got 19 crafting. All right, that's all I really care about. That's all I was here for.
Justice can be served at another time.
Gotta get there first. Gotta get there before I get hit. All right, I'm good. And now I'm just gonna take a free ride. Thanks, man. Thanks, big boy. Prayer flicking rats. Riveting YouTube series, especially when I misflick. That's sheep shearer started, and that's sheep shearer finished, as well as 20 crafting, which means we can now craft the sapphire rings that we're gonna enchant into our rings of recoil. Damn it, I just realized I also forgot a ring mold. How hard can it be to craft a frickin' ring of recoil?
And that is task complete, our first Slayer task done. Got to 6 Slayer, almost 7.
Obviously, we won't be able to continue at this sort of training for the whole way, or even part of the way. We're gonna have to speed it up a lot in order to get there. But I'm just really happy to be started. I'm really happy to be ahead of the game. Let's head on back to the Lumbridge, meet up with our pal, and craft that recoil. A couple of things gotta change hands here. Cut the sapphire.
Not forget our ring mold.
Pretend we've done this before. Make the ring.
Hand it off.
And finally enchant that bad boy. And we have our very first ring of recoil on the accounts. Put it on. Shine it. Don't use it. Actually take it off. Don't risk it. Not that we're getting hit by anything, but who knows. Our noobs are up and running and looking fabulous while they're doing it. And there's only one way to celebrate. The ye old time tradition, noob dance. Guess there's not really much else to do but head back on up to Berthorpe and get our next Slayer assignment. But that's a tale for next time.
There's a long road ahead of these two.
And I hope you'll join me on their next adventure.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you out there.